So friendship, community, human communication are all not just important but central in the Buddhist tradition. So the central ideal of Buddhism, the three jewels, are not just the Buddha and the path that he teaches, the Dharma, but also the Sangha, the spiritual community, the ideal human community based on living out our full potential together. So Sangha is not just a means, it's very important and it's very, very difficult to practice without other people around us. I know that I wouldn't still be here, be practicing if I hadn't got others alongside me. But also it's an end in itself, that the experience of just being with people, growing together with other people is an ideal worth living for in itself. In a way, perhaps this has never needed more emphasis than it does today. So we've, as human beings, we've evolved in communities. We've evolved in relatively small social groups where we knew one another, where our communication was face-to-face, where it was nuanced, where all these dynamics between people that we would navigate. That's why our brains have evolved to be so big, is because we've got really, really good at that kind of communication. And in a way something started to, particularly in the modern world, or some pockets of the modern world, something of that started to degrade. We're more likely to feel a bit isolated. We're more likely to live not in community in that more ancient sense. And one of the factors, not the only factor by any means, but one of the factors in that is the advent of digital communication. Of course, digital communication came in the first place as an assistant to our communication. Our smartphones that we spend so much time on are first and foremost phones. They're communication devices, and they help by making communication more kind of portable, more scalable. So we can, and it's amazing, isn't it? We can speak to somebody who's on the other side of the world. We can meet new people that we would never otherwise have come across that share interests and values with us through the internet. There's lots that's very, very valuable about making communication so portable, so scalable. But the problem with it is that we do that by compressing communication. We take all of the richness of face-to-face human interaction and we compress it down so that it can be sent across the world or whatever. And the danger of that is that, well, it loses all of its richness, all of its detail, and we can find ourselves feeling more disconnected because of it. We can find ourselves feeling like we're on our own. We've got these screens that we communicate with one another through, but rather than facilitating our deep-seated need for human connection, interaction, they can actually get in the way somehow. And that's because we can mistake the digital communication for the real thing. We can feel like if we're in ongoing text communication or looking at people's Instagram accounts or whatever, like we're in some sort of connected relationship, but we're not. We need to keep recognizing that. So we need to, first of all, just remember that digital communication is there to facilitate real communication, and that we need to substitute our communication for the least compressed version that we can possibly have of it. So pressing a heart on someone's Instagram post, it's very, very compressed, isn't it? Either I press the heart or I don't. Better than that would be sending a text message. Where you get to use words, you get to express yourself in some more way. Better than that would be a video call, say, where you can see one another, where you can talk. And of course, best of all is that you're in person with all of the sort of shared atmosphere of human interaction. But also I think we need a vision for human communication. If we're trying to improve it in this way, we need to have a sense of what it's for, what it can be like at its best. And the Buddhist tradition has had over the years loads to say about communication. And one of the models for that that Sangharakshita, my teacher, talks about is in terms of levels, these 4 levels of communication. And I think that gives us a sense of what it can really do. So when you're listening to this, just see if you can recognize why this kind of communication so benefits from being face-to-face, particularly not just being in a group with others, but finding time one-to-one to really communicate with another person. So firstly, the first level of communication is truthful communication. So that means, can you really let somebody else see you as you are? not as you try and represent yourself in the world, but as you actually are. So whenever we tell a lie, we actually just put up a little barrier between ourselves. We hide ourselves from other people. First of all, can we communicate truthfully? Can we really be seen? Second is loving communication or affectionate communication. What we could say that love is awareness primarily. Awareness of the other person as a living being, just like yourself. Somebody with a life and an experience that is as rich and as personal as yours is to you. If we can really be aware of somebody in that kind of way, we can't help but love them. That's why if we watch a movie, then the protagonist, we tend to just really end up feeling for, because we spend some time really looking at the world through their eyes. So truthful communication, loving communication. With those in place, it's very natural for our communication to also become helpful. When we're really aware of another person, we want to help them. We want to help them in simple, practical ways, but even we want to help them to grow. We can start to see their potential, and we want to draw it out of them, to encourage them. That will mean our communication will tend more and more away from, gossiping, the sort of general grumbling about the world, about other people. That doesn't grow us, but really seeing someone else's potential and drawing it out, bringing values into being through communication, that will grow us. And the fourth level of communication is something like harmonizing communication. And this is where it can all get quite mysterious. So it's where the communication is so involved that there's a kind of atmosphere between you. And even, you can't get this on a video call even, but something about being in a space with someone else where you can feel their presence. And it's almost like it's not about you and it's not about me, it's about something that's happening in between us. At moments where we're at our most connected to other people, that's deeply satisfying, even very, very absorbing. And that can start to spread. That has a natural perfuming effect on other people as well. And out of that harmonizing communication, out of this sort of fruition of human communication, Sangha grows naturally. We'll naturally affect others. We'll naturally not be gossiping about people, but there's a sort of natural desire to bring people together, to sort of form a kind of glue out of this deep human resonance that builds community, that builds the ideal community of Sangha.